Welcome to the Breadbox, the channel dedicated to Commodore computers. Today we're going to look at the Commodore 3000H, Commodore's first game console machine. Now you may have thought of the Commodore GS released in 1990 as Commodore's first foray into the console arena, but it wasn't. The 3000H was released about 14 years earlier, around 1976. It was a 4-player, 4-game console machine. In essence though, it was a Pong clone. After the acquisition of MOS Technologies, Commodore joined the other 80-plus manufacturers that released their own version of Pong. But the 3000H wasn't Commodore's only Pong clone at the time. They also released the 2000K, which was also a 4-player, 4-game console machine. It consisted of the same games, but had a new design case and improved controllers. These controllers were all separate to the machine. As we look at the 3000H, you'll see why this was significant. Before we open up my Commodore 3000H though, it's pretty dirty. This is not sun damage you can see, rather it's 40 years of grime that's built up on this machine. So we'll give it a quick spruce up and hopefully make it look like new again. I did this with the additional controllers for the Commodore 3000H and it looks great. They were the same shade of yuck when I got them, so let's get into this. What I use on my initial cleanups of my Commodores is Ajax with baking soda. This stuff is great as it has baking soda, which is like a natural cleaner, but it gets rid of the grime buildup on my Commodores. Most importantly, it doesn't scratch them. I'll get started on the wired controller first of all. Just 2 screws hold this together. The 3000H is quite an unusual machine as it has this dedicated wired controller or paddle. It also has 2 additional controllers that you plug into the back of the 3000H. But as you'll see, this is a 4-player machine. The 4th player uses a paddle directly built into the 3000H itself. This should just pop open. As you can see, this is a simple sliding mechanism which you guide your man up and down the screen. I'll remove this so we can take the slider mechanism out of its case. And just 3 screws hold this in place. It is basic, it's simple, I'll get rid of those, but it does the job it was designed to do. Now it's time to crack out the Ajax with baking soda. It doesn't take long to clean these up, it just takes a little bit of elbow grease. But straight away you start to see results. So while I'm doing this, here's some more interesting information about the 3000H. I'll be opening up the machine soon, so here's the nuts and bolts, so to speak. As you'll see soon, the 3000H was powered by a MOS 7601 microcontroller. This is a PAL machine, so it uses the 7601, but if it was an NTSC machine, it would be using a MOS 7600. The 3000H is powered by a 9-volt DC power supply, but here's an interesting twist about that power supply which I'll share with you in more detail soon. Because according to the 3000H manual, the mains adapter or the power supply unit was an optional extra. So how could you power the 3000H without plugging it into the wall? We'll have a look very soon. So straight away you start to see a difference already. Just like new again, well, pretty close. There was a couple of marks I couldn't get rid of, but I'm pretty happy with the results. There's a slight bit of discoloration, but otherwise it looks great. Now onto the console itself. 4 screws hold this console together, so we'll get it open, and it should be pretty easy to pop open once we get these screws out. As I mentioned, I should be able to just pop this open. Okay, that took a little bit longer than I anticipated, but hey, we've got it open. These wires, they're pretty tight, so I'll just leave it like this. All of the sounds of the 3000H come out of this internal dedicated speaker. I tried to get the board out of the case so I could actually take it right apart, but I couldn't get past this power connection here. I couldn't undo it, so this is as far as I can go with taking this 3000H apart. As I mentioned, this is a power machine, so under this heatsink is the MOS 7601 microcontroller. My research online about this microcontroller is different to many of the 1970s Pong chips that were out there, which had their game hard-coded into the system's logic. The 7600 and the 7601 were basic microprocessors that read the game instructions from a special 512-word ROM, which appeared to be internal to that chip. To connect your 3000H to your TV, it had a standard hardwired RF cable. The 9-volt DC power supply connects to the back of the 3000H. But this one has a UK plug, which I can't use here in New Zealand. So how am I going to use this console without buying a new power supply unit? No worries, because the 3000H is also battery powered. It takes 6 AA batteries, 1.5 volts each, which makes up the 9 volts to run the console unit. The console controls from top to bottom to left to right, all written in English and also in German. We have the serve button, the reset button, the game control button, which has the options to choose between target, tennis, soccer and squash. But then you also have the serve switch, which is automatically set to manual, but you can change to automatic serve. You have the power on off button. You have the fourth controller or back control sliding mechanism for the fourth player. You have the speed handicap where you can choose between amateur and professional. And then also you have the options selector. On the rear of the 3000H from left to right, there's a wire heading out to the dedicated wired controller or paddle. There's the power input socket. There's a 5-pin socket for the rifle or pistol accessory. I'll show you more about this in a few seconds because it's quite unique. Then also you have the 5-pin socket for the additional 2 paddles. And finally you have the RF cable going off to the optional rifle/pistol light gun could be brought from your local Commodore reseller. What made this optional extra interesting though was you could use it as a light pistol, but if you added the rifle butt, you could also use it as a light rifle. This was needed in either format to be able to play the target game. Let's plug in the paddles and play a game or two on the Commodore 3000H. The additional paddles plug into the 5-pin socket that I showed in the back. Been upside down, I've lost my bearings here. Okay, yeah, plugs into here. This is now the complete setup minus the very rare light pistol/light rifle. In this format it gives you 4-player games. You can choose of course between the 4 different games. You have the soccer, tennis and squash, which we can play without the rifle. Let's get started. Initially I tried demonstrating the games on my own, one player. It didn't quite work. In fact, when I was playing soccer, I managed to score a goal in my own goal. And I realized, okay, I need to have someone else here playing with me. So I asked my gaming buddy, my wife, to help me out. Now this made a lot more sense and it was a lot more easier to try out the different games. The games were really simple, but they were a lot of fun. Even my wife, she enjoyed playing them. We checked out all the games we could. Obviously the target game, we needed the light rifle or light pistol to play it, but this is what it looks like. And you shoot the little target with your light gun. Next was tennis. Soccer or football. And finally squash. And even when I finished, my wife continued playing. So it really demonstrates the Commodore 3000H must have given hours of great fun for the whole family back in 1976 to 77. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and click that notification bell for seeing new videos that are coming out very soon. And also check out my other videos on my channel as well. They're all about Commodore computers. Hey, until next time, see you later.